So Armored Core has been revealed to us for about 6 months now, and as an Armored Core veteran, I wanted to go over what I think of the gameplay and the trailer and how FromSoft is approaching this brand new game. They haven't made an Armored Core game in over 10 years, ever since Dark Souls just took off and became a massive success that we know it is today. I mean, Elden Ring came out last year and became Game of the Year. I mean, that game was a massive success for FromSoft, and I think it was a great idea for them to introduce a brand new Armored Core game, because that is what From Software has originally done in the past. They've made Armored Core games and other games, but they're most commonly known as Dark Souls and Armored Core. Now let's talk gameplay. The gameplay looks really amazing. I mean, it looks like they went right back to Armored Core 4 and 4 Answer, at least that's what I can tell. And I've been playing those games since I was 7 years old. Armored Core 4 came out when I was 7, and that's when I started playing the series, and I've fell in love with the game ever since. And the gameplay looks on par with Armored Core 4 the most. 4 Answer was incredibly fast, not as fast as this, but it looks on par with Armored Core 3 and 4, kind of like if they got mixed together. The weapons look interesting. It looks like they have the ability for you to choose between if you want another primary back weapon or if you want your traditional shoulder mounted weapons like we had in 4 and 4 Answer. Now, one thing I seem to see a lot, especially on like the For You pages like Reddit and stuff like that, lots of people really don't understand, especially the new players that are coming from Dark Souls, that a lot of Dark Souls was inspired by Armored Core. The huge boss fights that take place in Dark Souls was heavily inspired by Armored Core. I even, as a hot take, would argue that Armored Core as a genre is even harder than Dark Souls. I mean, some of the missions in Armored Core for Answer are just downright insane. I mean, you are fighting some 3, sometimes 4, even 5 nexts if you're on the last mission in the game on hard mode. And let me tell you, that can break some people. I mean, those missions are just downright difficult. You have to have such a unique build to even accomplish those missions. I've been able to do it with my own kind of build ever since I was 9, 10 years old, but that's because I wasted unholy amounts of time playing the game. I mean, I remember when I was 8, when Armored Core for Answer came out, and fighting White Glint over and over and over again because I just simply couldn't beat him. 8-year-old me just couldn't fathom how to beat White Glint, and even sometimes going back and playing now, he kind of whips my ass a little bit. But I mean, stuff like that, missions that you go on can be hard, and Dark Souls definitely is hard too. I mean, I think they throw you in like the hardest boss in the first level. Dark Souls is incredibly hard, so was Elden Ring. I mean, all the games are hard, but the people don't understand that Armored Core was really the first to do it, and that Dark Souls took tons of inspiration from Armored Core. Now, FromSoft has put a really big emphasis this time on melee weapons this time around. Melee weapons in Armored Core haven't really ever been that good, except for maybe Gen 2 and 3, and even then they were kind of eh. But they put a really big emphasis this time on the melee weapons, and as a veteran player, I'm really excited to see where this goes. In Armored Core Verdict Day, when I was playing that game, there was a big melee community, but no one really ever used it in actual battle, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we would go in private games and everyone would run their mechs that had melee builds and stuff like that, and that was a lot of fun. They had the ultimate weapons, the physical blades, and of course the pile drivers. But this time the pile drivers have made a return, and so have the laser blades, but they have put a really big emphasis this time on how they act, and they seem like they really want players to use them this time around. So I'm really excited to see what FromSoft does with these weapons. Armored Core's always had this crazy amount of customization in their games. It's kind of the staple of Armored Core, right? I mean, you have these mechs that can be reverse-legged, quad-legged, tank-legged, I mean, all these kinds of options. You can have a sniper mech, you could have a laser mech, you could have a straight up melee mech. I mean, the possibilities are seriously endless with the amount of customization that is in these games. You can spend hours alone just in the emblem maker and just coloring your mech. I mean, it's the customization's like just unreal. In Armored Core for Answer and 4, you had stabilizers because your mech could lean too heavy to the left or the right or the back or the front. So you had to put these stabilizers on so that your mech functioned properly in battle. And I mean, that's just crazy amounts of customization. And I'm curious to see if they bring stabilizers back to this game. My initial thoughts are no, they probably won't, because it's realistically a needless mechanic, but I digress. It was a fun mechanic. I liked it. But I mean, the customization has always been overwhelming for some newer players, and I can see why. I mean, the stats are really intimidating. You don't know exactly what they all mean. You don't know what energy consumption does. You don't know what the booster velocity is, or you just got a bunch of numbers and letters and all this stuff on the screen. You're just thinking to yourself, what does this mean? And that was the fun of Armored Core, was figuring out all those things and what they meant. I mean, once you got the hang of what everything was, the game became tons of fun to play. I mean, knowing what every little part does and tuning the mech to your liking. If you wanted it, the arms to shoot perfectly accurate, you could. If you wanted your primal armor to have more health and PA penetration, you could do that. I mean, the customization was always great in these games, and I'm excited to see what they do in this brand new game, because the customization has always been great in these games. Now let's talk multiplayer. Multiplayer was very lightly touched on in the interview with Fromsoft, and basically what they said was they're going to have an online arena, but they're going to keep it mainly story focused, and that makes me sad, because Verdict Day and 5 had really interesting multiplayers. I mean, it was a lot of fun going out with your friends and facing other enemy ACs. I mean, that kind of stuff was fun. I like building UNACs too. Building UNACs was a lot of fun. The design there was really crazy. I mean, the idea of building your own AI to go out and fight with you was pretty cool in my opinion. But I really highly doubt they'll bring that back for this game. But as far as how Armored Core 4 and For Answer played, I mean, For Answer was nuts. I mean, you had guys moving at the speed of light with their laser blades and stuff like that, and it's a ton of fun to watch. I mean, those guys go crazy, and as far as I know today, they're still doing that kind of stuff with a smaller community, but nevertheless, it's a lot of fun to watch. And I just hope that the devs realize that we like the multiplayer aspect a lot too of Armored Core. It's a lot of fun, and I hope they expand on it with some DLC or something like that, like they did for Elden Ring, kind of like how they did the arena. But I hope they expand on it and do more for the multiplayer, because there's a lot of potential for the multiplayer. I feel like tons of things can be done with how players build their mechs and how they use them. And I like always seeing the different kinds of builds and variety in the community, because it's just that's what the game's about, right? It's how people build their own mechs, and I always enjoyed that aspect of the game. Now, wrapping up, I just want to say that I'm super excited for this game. I cannot wait till August 25th. Me and my brother are super excited to play this game. We've been waiting for over 10 years. I mean, we've been playing this game since we were kids. Like I said, I played Armored Core 4 when it first came out when I was 7 years old, and I played all the games. I played 3, 4, For Answer, Verdict Day. I mean, I've played a good amount of Armored Core games. There's 22, I believe, in total, but I've played 7 of them, and I'm super excited for this game. I'm super excited to see how the newcomers react to this game. I know people that have never even heard of Armored Core, and they watch the trailers and they're super excited to play it, just because From Software has built that reputation of being a really good gaming company now. And especially in AAA gaming today, where lots of companies kind of just lose passion for their games, but all I see is just passion for Armored Core, and I'm super excited to play it, and I'm excited for people who have never played Armored Core to play it. And I want to hear from other veterans in the comments, or newcomers in the comments, what you guys think of the trailer. What do you guys think of the game. How do you think it'll play? Are you excited for it? Are you doubtful it'll be good? I'm excited to hear everyone's thoughts. But yeah, guys, I'll catch you later.